So the next album should be Let It Be, but I I did have a copy of that album. I bought the Capitol version, and then a few years later, I came across the Capitol version came with a nice sleeve that had pictures of the Beatles and a poster that was four times the size of the album, and it looked just like the album cover. And a few years later, I happened across the Apple version of Let It Be, so I gave away my copy of Capitol Let It Be, and then a few years after that, my copy of Let It Be got stolen. And I'd always hoped that it would come back to me, but even after my main suspect died, it still didn't come back to me. So, and since then, there's been a new version, so I may buy a copy eventually. But my friend who had the Red and Blue album, his copy of it, them, told which American album the different songs were on, and there were a bunch of them. Some of the best songs on the Blue album came from this one, which was called Hey Jude. And it had another name like More Beatles or something like that as a working title. They even printed up labels, and then they changed their mind, named it Hey Jude, and so they sold them with the old labels anyway. So some people got a different label than I have on their record. Mine, I didn't discover the Beatles till the late 70s, so this is Hey Jude, one of the best ones. So what this is they took a bunch of singles and compressed them into an album. They were needing some quick cash. Let It Be was still in limbo, hadn't come out yet, so they made this. So let's go through the tracks. So it starts off with Can't Buy Me Love and I Should Have Known Better. Both songs from A Hard Day's Night. Can't Buy Me Love is sung by Paul, and I Should Have Known Better is sung by John. And these were a single, but both of these songs are on the American version of the Hard Day's Night soundtrack, so there's no need to put them on here. These are taking up space that could have been better used to put other stuff out. Some of the stuff that was not in print. Things like Misery, or if they had to take songs from A Hard Day's Night, I'd rather have used If I Fell, but they didn't. Okay, so the next song is Paperback Writer, sung by Paul, followed by Rain, sung by John. Both of these songs were created in the same sessions that created the Revolver album. These were a single. And Rain was the first use of backwards tapes by John. So the next ones skip ahead a little future. A couple of years later was Lady Madonna, sung by Paul, but not the B-side, The Inner Light. And then that's followed by Revolution, one of the best songs on this album. And that's a great ending for this side of the album. Now let's look at side 2. Okay, side 2 starts off with the title track, Hey Jude, sung by Paul for 7 minutes, 6 seconds. And that's followed by George singing Old Brown Shoe, which was the B-side of Get Back, which was the single had a different version than the one that is on Let It Be. And that's followed by Don't Let Me Down, sung by John and Paul, mostly John. And the B side of that, The Ballad of John and Yoko. Those words don't appear in the song anywhere, so I can't sing that for the title. That's John singing about what was going on in his life at the time, his relationship with Yoko. So it's a good album, but a lot of this was put on the. Oh, another glaring omission is With Love From Me to You, which they did put on the Red Album a couple of years later. Let's see. It'd be 4 years later, but it was not on any of the albums to that point. It's one of their big hits, and they didn't put it on this one. A lot of the glaring omissions of this were put on Past Master CDs, and most of these tracks are on the Past Master CDs. If they weren't already on a British album, which is what the CDs were. So, but recommend this. This is a good record, and it hasn't been issued on CD, I think, in 2014. So you could get just these songs if you want in CD form.